Hi, it's Anna Haferman, and today I'm going to do a cowl with a tuck stitch. That's fun to do and pretty easy to pick out on the machine. Usually when I do patterns on the machine, I like to make them so they're not super labor intensive and really kind of more fun to do than things where you're having to count a lot of stitches. This one's really easy to do, and to select, you're going to use this tool and your finger, and that's it. So the yarns I'm going to use, this was kind of my test one. I thought it was maybe a little too wide, so I'm going to go down a square. This one has 10 going around. I'm going to do 9, and I think I'm going to do 4 squares high. And I'm actually using a different yarn, so I think it'll end up being slightly smaller anyway. And I'll measure it at the end so you'll know what it measures. So these are, I got these at my local yarn store here in Nashville, which is called House of Yarn. And this is a sport DK weight made by Malabrigo. Caprino is the name of this line. And then this one is natural. This one is called Sabiduria, which I don't know that word, but I guess it has something to do with purple. But so because it's merino and cashmere and it's really soft, it's going to make a nice cowl, something, and this is probably going to be more like a neck warmer. It won't really flop down like a cowl. I decided I don't really like cowls that much. But if you want yours to be a cowl, you just make it wider or whatever. To start with here, my main tension is going to be 4.5. So that's what I'm using to start. I'm going to start with waste yarn. That's this green here. Now this is just a real smooth acrylic, inexpensive. For waste yarn, I like to have it wound up nice and not, I don't save it and tie it in knots and reuse it because life is kind of short, and I find that the knots are sometimes problematic. So I like to have a nice free-flowing waste yarn because there have been many times where, like, at the last minute something happens and some stitch will drop off stuff. So we're going to do 9 squares, and each square is 12 stitches, 12 stitches wide. So from that purple line to including that white line there is 12. So I need a multiple of 12 plus 1 on each side to seam. So I've got waste yarn threaded already, and I'm going to do 9 times 12, which is 108, plus 2, which is 110, which means 55 on each side. So I'll start here, and this is just the cast on. And I'm casting on with the waste yarn because I will end up latching up from waste yarn at the end. So I'll go 55 to 55 here. So that one's going to get pushed back for that first row just because I'm doing every other one. But when I pull the second set out, it will get in the mix. So I'll go across. Okay, so then I want to hang my cast on comb. And because each piece of the comb has 50 needles. So I need all 3 because I've got 110. So what I want to do is hang that. I always hang it toward me, but you can hang it away from you if you prefer. I just feel like this works a little better for me. I just want to make sure I get every single one of those. There we go. And unhook on the edge. And then pull out every other one. And over here, you'll have to pull that 55 back out. If you don't, you will not have the correct amount of stitches. And then when you go to seam up, it won't match perfectly. So double check your number of stitches first in the beginning, because when you get to the end, if you're like missing that one row and it ends up looking kind of wonky, you're probably not going to be happy with that. So we will then just knit a second row. Okay, so that's, make sure everything's good there. Get that waste yarn established so that it's doing its job, and its job is holding your needles in place, your stitches where they're supposed to be. Okay, so we'll take the green out, and now what I'm doing now is whatever color I want these stripes to be and the little bubble things, that's the one I'm going to put on the right. So I'll put a clip on that green yarn there, and then I'll put this white yarn in. I'm going to leave a longish tail so I can seam up the side with that when I'm done. So if you're ever in doubt whether you need a long tail, just leave one, because you might end up needing it, because you're sometimes not really sure which tail you're going to sew up from. And it's nice to sew up from a tail because then you have less stitches to weave in. Okay, so I'll just hang these weights on the edges there too. Okay, so for the first row, my main tension is going to be 4.5. For this first row, I'm going to go to 8.5, just for that first row. And so, what the first row will end up becoming is this latched up edge. So the reason I'm doing it at a larger tension is so that it isn't too tight. So I'll just do one row at 8.5. And then I'll switch back to 4.5 over here and do a second row. Okay, so that's it. Then I will take this white yarn out of the feeder and park it on the side. I'm actually going to use one of these, put it over to this side so I can hook my yarn in it. I'll usually keep it like at the edge of the bed, but so you can see what I'm doing, it's that. Okay, so then I'll thread the purple. A little more. So then I'll thread the purple. Okay, so I'm at tension 4.5. Now for this first row, I want to put the carriage in first row, and every other row I'm going to go into tuck, or I guess this is the third row, but I'll go into hold, which means both arrows are going to be facing backwards. So that's hold or tuck as well, because we use hold to tuck. So then I'm going to select my first selection, and what I need is to start with the second needle and pull that one out, then count 2, 4, 6, 10, 11, and the 12th one I'll pull out 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12th 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, and the 12th one 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12, 2, 4, 6, 12, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12, 2, 4, 12. And then on the end, I should have 12. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So now double check this. Make sure you've got 11 needles between each selection. So I've got 1 on that side, then 1. Then I should have 11, 11, 11. And I can count mine kind of easy because I have them arranged in groups of 5. That's 11 and 11. 5 and 6 is 11. 11, 4, 9, 10, 11. And then this one should be 12. So then I will take my washable marker and just mark that selection, because I'm going to be going back to this selection every 2 rows. So I want to mark them so I don't have to count them every time. Okay, so I've marked those, and that's the only thing I'm going to have to mark. So now I'm in hold over here, tension 4.5. I've got what I need selected, and I'm going to knit 2 rows. Okay, so then I'll take, after I'm done with that, I'll take the purple out of the feeder, park it over here on the left, and I'm just putting it over behind the thing. If you have your little, I've actually got it right there. If you can do it like this, or if you have your little needle, your yarn parkers, you could tuck those into the back. I don't usually use those. I use one of those, and whatever works for you. So then, okay, so then I put the white back in the feeder. So every 2 rows I'm going to be changing color. So I'm going to go 2 purple, 2 white. And I should have gone to row count 0 when I started the purple. So I should be on 2 right now. So if you're following along and you didn't do that, just set it to 2 right now. Or in the description, if I neglect to say anything in the description, I'll try to put it there. So read the description box first. And if I make little mistakes, then I try to address them there. And that's really all I can do. Okay, so I'm going to take this tool, push these back to upper working position. So this is working position, position B. Non-working position is way back here. Working is here. Upper working is here. And then hold is here. Working and upper working kind of do the same thing when you're in hold. Now, I'm going to take this tool. And here's the first needle I selected. I'm going to go to the next one and select every other needle. Then I'm going to go to that one, go to the next one over, and select every other needle. Now, it's really important that you select the correct needles. So you should never have one of these blue ones selected, and you'll get it pretty quickly. And then the end, and you should never have that last one selected either, or the first one. So it's just every other one, making sure you don't have any of those blue ones selected. So I've got the white in the feeder, and I'm going to do 2 rows. 2, okay. Then I will go to park the white yarn, get the purple yarn, feed it into the feeder first before I do any selecting. I'm going to change color first every time so that when I'm done selecting, I'm ready to go. So then we'll take this tool, push those back to upper working position, and then pull out the ones I marked in blue again. So it's every 12 this time. Okay, so that's it. So, and then the purple's in here, and now I have every 12th one selected. I accidentally had the wrong one, and I had to start again. So I should have the all the 12 selected. And then I'm going to do my 2 rows with the purple. Okay, so then once you've done that, change color. First thing I do is change color. Mark the yarn on the other side, put in the new color, which is always just the other color. And then I push back the ones I have selected and pull out the other one. So it's that one, then the next one is the one I pull. The next one. So they're conveniently, with this size of this tool, end up being the ones in between those two. All right, so the ones I should have selected are every other one, not including those blue ones, and straddling here. Sometimes because there isn't a blue one there, it's easy to make a mistake like I just did. So it should be every other needle and not including any of the blue ones or the end stitches. Okay, so then we'll just knit 2 with the white. 1, 2. Okay, so then we can change the white yarn to the purple yarn. And I like to change color first so that I don't forget. And so then I'll push back these just to upper work. You don't want to push all the way back or the stitches will fall off the needle. So push them all back and then pull out all those ones you marked in blue. Forgot to push those back, pull that out. Okay, so you should have all the blue ones all the way out and everything else either in upper work or work. And now your yarn will be floppy, so just hang on to it until you can feel it engage. And I say that and you probably don't know what I mean until you actually try it, but trust me. Okay, so then your routine is this. You take whatever yarn you have in the feeder and park it on whatever side it's supposed to be on. The left one goes to the left and the right one goes to the right. And you put in your other color of yarn. And push back the needles and come back with the other ones. Okay. And go back with your color that you have in the feeder. So anytime you're doing white, you should have the every other selection, and every time you're doing purple, you should have the every 12th selection. So you'll get it. It's very quick to learn because it's really just 2 rows. So this, like that. I don't mark these because I just go pivot off of these. So anything you can do to make your life easier while doing patterns makes it more fun and less likely for you to make a mistake. I've got the purple. I don't think it's correct in the feeder. There we go. 1, 2. Okay, so we'll take the purple out. park it over on the left and put the white in. Now we'll push back our needles to upper working position. And then, remember, it's not the blue one, but the next one. And so these two should be straddling that blue one. So every time you do that, just do it the same way and make sure you get the next one there. And you never want a blue one selected, you never want the end needle selected. Okay, so now you're all selected, and do 2 rows with white. 1, 2. Okay, so then we'll take the white out. Put the purple in. So now we're on row 16. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of the rows of white. I ultimately want 6, and then I'll change a little bit. So, but right now we're still doing the main pattern. So we're pushing back and pulling out those 12th needles, or the ones marked in blue, however you want to call them. And that one. Okay, and then we'll grab the yarn, because it's very slack right now, and see how it's kind of sliding through my fingers, and then it'll eventually just catch on its own, and I'll let it go. 1. And that's so much easier than pulling it back from there each time, because that takes a while. So then I'm pulling up putting my weights up on the side. Putting the white yarn in, get my yarn color changed right away, so that when I select my needles, I'm ready to go. Because otherwise, what happens is you'll try not to let your yarn do that. I did that before and I had to restart. So sometimes if the video looks like I've stopped and edited something out, it's because I made a mistake. And so then I fix it, and rather than keep it in the video, which is confusing and probably kind of boring, I'll cut it out so it looks somewhat seamless. So it is, this isn't hard, but you do make mistakes. And I'm standing behind the machine, so it's not like it's a little harder to do it this way, but if you're sitting at the machine, it's really not hard. Okay, so now we are at row 20. I'm going to change color. And always make sure you snap that yarn into the feeder, because if you don't, it'll fall out and then you'll drop the whole thing. So just be real careful to snap that yarn into the feeder. And eventually you just do it you just do it automatically, but you should be, getting in that mode. Okay, so here's our purple. I'm holding on to it till I can feel it start to catch, and then I'll just let go. And that's something that you will after a while, you'll just do that kind of automatically too. So this purple, it changes color very slowly, so it's going to be nice, I think, on this, because it's not dramatic changes, but just kind of very slow changes that'll give it some nice interest. And this yarn is so soft, and I imagine it's going to get softer if I wash this, when I wash it. pull out the ones I need. And knit my 2 rows. So the white yarn doesn't get as slack as the purple one because it doesn't have as far to travel. So like when I park it, it only has to go this short distance. But the purple goes from here all the way to the other side. So that's the one that's really kind of difficult. So I'm going to do 2 rows of purple, but you wouldn't want to park the purple on the same side because then the yarns start interfering with each other, and the antenna on your machine start crossing. So just get in the habit of parking the left yarn on the left side. When I first started doing this, I thought they were both supposed to go on the same side, but I eventually figured it out, or read something that told me that that's what you were supposed to do. Okay, so we're pretty much done with this square, but now we're on row 26. When that means we're going to change the pattern slightly. So we're still going to go over to white yarn, and this row is going to be these 2 rows here. So those are going to be just plain knitting. So in order to break up the pattern, so we'll put that white yarn in. Okay, and this time we're going to push the needles back like that. But we're not going to pull anything out. We're just going to knit 2 rows, and everything's going to knit because we're in working or upper working position. Even though we're in hold, everything's going to knit because nothing's held. You know, I haven't held any needles, so you don't have to mess with the levers at all, and you shouldn't. 1, 2. Okay, so that's my first, those are my first squares. Okay, so then we will just start again, and we're going to put the purple, thread up the purple, snap it into place, and this time I will reset the row counter to 0. Okay, so I'm at 0, and I'm ready to go with purple. Purple is always just these 12s. Okay, so it will knit those and tuck those, so that way we'll get this first row being all purple basically. 1, 2. Okay, and then we'll just continue. So because I'm standing behind the machine, I've got the machine up on a adjustable table that makes it so it's easier to stand up, but it also have to be kind of far away because the camera and the lights and stuff, and I don't want to be like, in the shot, like blocking the view. So I just have to kind of work around that. So pardon me. And I know I kind of complain about that in every video, but like when I'm knitting without the video, it's like so much more fun. Anyway, so now we're on white. We'll push back those and we'll get the correct ones. And notice that purple kind of went over that. You just want to make sure it doesn't do that. Okay. So then we'll knit 2 rows with white. Okay, then we're just going to continue in this manner until we get to 26 again, and then we'll do the 2 plain rows, and then we'll be on 28. We'll reset and start again, starting with purple. So every 2 rows you're going 2 white rows, 2 purple rows, 2 white rows, 2 purple rows throughout. That never changes. The selection when you're doing the purple is always on these 12s. When you're on white, it's going to be the every other ones until that row 26, and then it's just going to be the 2 plain rows. Pull the blues. There we go, and we're going to do 1, 2. Okay, so now we're on our magic number 26, and that means we will cut the purple yarn. So we're done with purple now. Now, this is our time where we do our 2 rows. So we're going to push these back. It's going to be a little different. We're going to do 1 row just like we did all the other times at tension 4.5. There's 1. Then I'm going to go up to 8.5 for that last row. And because I'm going to latch off the top row, the top, yeah, that one was the top. That one was the bottom. So they look very similar. But I'm going to do that at tension 8.5. They go up about 4 numbers and go a little slow because it's adjusting. Okay, there we go. So that's it. Now I will cut this tail. I'm going to probably leave a long tail here just in case I decide to latch up to sew up that way, but usually I use the bottom one. We'll see. It's always good to give yourself options. Okay, so now I'm going to put the waste yarn back in. The green yarn. Clip that, and you can get the clips there at the bottom of your knitting, and then just do, I actually go down to the regular tension 4.5 for this and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I usually do 6, 7, 8. I generally do at least 8 rows of waste yarn. Don't do too few because then they'll unravel really easy. Okay, so there it is, fresh off the machine. And look at that. So I don't know if you can really see, but it's changing color a lot in there. It gives it a nice effect. So that's nice. And then what I do here and now is I'm going to take the latch tool. Here's my latch tool. And I'm going to go to either side. I've got 1 large row. That was the bottom, and that was the top. And those were the rows I did at the higher tension. So what I'll do is starting, so you'll have 2 ends. There's one end of that, and there's the other end. So there's a tail on this end, okay? So I'm going to start with the one that doesn't have a tail and just start latching it up. So I'll go get in that first stitch. The first stitch is sort of hides on you, but get in there and then get that stitch behind the latch and get the next one, pull it through. Go to the next bar. It's that white bar that's right near the green. and just keep pulling those through, and that's going to give you that nice latched row, and that's pretty easy. So you just get it, the old stitch behind the latch, the new stitch in the latch, and close it up. And I'll just go all the way across until I get to the end. Over here, that's, I think, the last one. That's the last one. And double check that there's nothing else in there, and there isn't. And so now you grab the tail of the white and just pull it through. Okay? So now you can cut the waste yarn. Now that was the bottom that I did. So this time I'll have to cut the waste yarn. Because the way the knitting is, you won't really be able to unravel it. So go in there and, cut that last green stitch. None of the white, just cut that last green one like that. And then you can go over here and go to this end with the tail, the top tail, not the bottom tail, and just start pulling on it. And you could have used ravel cord to do this, but you don't really have to. This yarn, this waste yarn, is pretty slippery, so I find it's pretty easy to pull through. But if you had done ravel cord, you would have just pulled your ravel cord out at this time. So it's going to bunch up until it starts coming all the way out. And if you've got some fibers stuck in there, you might get stuck, but you just kind of try to figure out where those are and pull them out. Okay, so now I've got it pulled out. And so see how that is? So that's just going to fall off like that. Okay, see, now I've got that crochet look edge. See that? So that's nice. And then I just do the same thing on the other side. I find the tail of that white yarn, which is over here. And then I go to the other side and find the first stitch and get the latch tool again. So this is exactly the same. So the top and bottom are going to look the same because of the way I did it. They're just going to look the same. So what we'll do is take that tail that we started with. And I can tell this is the bottom because those V's face up, but it wouldn't really matter if you did it the other way. But so what I do here is, here's where the tail ends. I'm going to go over here and get my last stitch, which I think is right there. Looks like it's split. Okay. Then, without twisting this, I want to go over here, and that purple tail is going to end up getting put in there. So I'm going to grab these, come over here, and I should be able to find 2 purple stitches. So you see where this line of white is? I'm going to get I'm going to go in between that line of white and the first stitch so that it looks seamless. So I'll just grab that purple clump right there. Then I can come over here and I should be able to find, just skip that purple there and find these 2 white stitches here. So here there's a purple row and then that seam stitch is right there. So there are my 2 white stitches. Okay. Sometimes with these stitches, this kind of stitch, you have to just sort of find a way to match it up. So they'll go over here. There's a white stitch. I want to skip that. I'll get these purple ones. So there should be 2. Then we come back here, and I'm going to get the white one. So there's 1 purple stitch right there, but I'm going to get these 2 white ones there. So that should line it up pretty well. But we'll see as we go along. So sometimes you have to go, no, that's not working, and try it again. So the purple on top, go down here, and get these 2 white stitches. See those 2? So see how it's pretty straight across there? So it's lining up nice. So after steaming it, I just took my steamer which is going to take a minute to heat up now. Okay, so I have this steamer. It's a Conair steamer, and I'm just going to kind of go, I've actually already done it, but I just sort of went around the edges with it. And this one's nice because it puts off a lot of steam. Looks like I fogged up my camera. And then I just steamed and then kind of flattened out the edges. I didn't really do a really hard steam on it because I didn't want it to be super, I wanted it to still have some texture. So that's all.